Why, it's absolutely hideous!
Hello, my friends. This is your old pal, Torrin Atkinson from Caustic Soda, coming to you on the internet. I have a story I have found on the interwebs that is interesting. Dateline, June 2019, from Gizmodo. A 1,500-year-old chunk of fossilized human poop found at a former rock shelter in Texas contains evidence of an ancient hunter-gatherer who consumed an entire rattlesnake, including a fang. Archaeologists have never seen anything quite like it. Back in the late 1960s, archaeologists collected over 1,000 samples of human-produced coprolites, or dried-out poop. At the Conejo Shelter site in the Lower Pecos Canyonlands of southwest Texas, a team led by archaeologist Eleanor Sonderman from Texas A&M University recently took a new look at this old poop, leading to a rather remarkable discovery. One of the recovered poop samples contains various traces of vegetation and even a whole small rodent that was seemingly eaten without cooking. For hunter-gatherers in the Lower Pecos, that's actually nothing out of the ordinary. But the same coprolite sample also contained traces of an entire rattlesnake, including bits of bones, scales, and even a fang. The authors of the new study believe it to be the first evidence of whole snake consumption in the fossil record. As the researcher points out in this new study from the Journal of Archaeological Science, Volume 25, this unique and potentially life-threatening ingestive act was likely done for ceremonial or ritualistic reasons and not for the nutrition, although I'm sure it was very nutritious. The Lower Pecos region of Texas was first inhabited by humans about 12,000 to 14,000 years ago. The Conejo Shelter was located near the junction of the Rio Grande and Pecos rivers, and it served as a safe space for indigenous hunter-gatherers during the region's archaic period. Archaeologists conducted excavations at the site from 1967 to 68, pulling out over 1,000 coprolites. 1,000 coprolites. Among other artifacts and fossils, the quantity of coprolites found at a specific area of the rock shelter suggests the space was designated as a latrine. Fossilized poop samples may sound off-putting, but they allow scientists to reconstruct the diets of ancient peoples. They all ate poop, I guess. A second coprolite found within the same stratigraphic layer as the one with the snake fang was carbonated to between 1,529 to 1,597 years ago, so roughly 1,000 years before the arrival of Europeans to the New World, capital N, capital W. According to the researchers, the pre-Columbian hunter-gatherers who lived in the Lower Pecos region had to deal with relatively harsh desert conditions, foraging on small animals such as rodents, including rabbits, fish, reptiles, and anything else they could find. This culture is also known for its elaborate and extensive rock art, which frequently depicted snakes. Rock art. The researchers said the snake was a viperous, venomous snake, either a western diamondback rattlesnake or a copperhead, the latter of which was deemed less likely owing to the size of the fang. To be clear, evidence of snake consumption is common in the archaeological record. The Tepehuan people of northeastern Mexico, for example, ate rattlesnakes for food, but only after removing the head, rattle, and skin, including scales, prior to cooking. Same for the I don't know how to pronounce that. Maybe it's just Ute. Same for the Ute people of modern-day Utah and Colorado, who skinned and roasted snakes over coals. The presence of scales, bones, and 1 centimeter-long fang and the venomous head in the coprolite sample is exceptionally unusual, suggesting something other than sustenance. Perhaps some sort of ritual was the reason for the meal. Snakes held important symbolic status for people living in this region. Snakes were considered to hold power to act upon certain elements of the earth, the authors wrote, and because of their power and role in various mythologies, many cultures around the world include snakes as a feature of ceremonies and rituals. 'Cause they ain't got no legs. I added that part. The final paragraph of the new paper summarizes their interpretation of the findings quite nicely. Are you ready? As read by Ricardo Montalban. The recovery of viper's skeleton remains from the human coprolite is remarkable, but not only because of the rarity of such an occurrence, but also because this find provides a glimpse of the ritualistic behaviors of small-scale societies. We propose that the ingestion of an entire venomous snake is not typical behavior for the occupants of the lower Picos or Conejo shelter. It is also clear from comparative culture analysis and rock art from this region that snakes hold ritual significance to the indigenous populations of the lower Picos. We propose that a likely explanation for the ingestion of an entire snake is that the individual did so for a distinctly ceremonial or ritualistic purpose. A potential concern with this coprolite analysis is that the owner of the poop never actually consumed the mouse or snake, and that this individual's fecal matter became intermixed with surrounding material, such as fur and bones. Sonderman said it's highly unlikely. The fang was inside the coprolite, not hanging around it. With these issues addressed, a major and rather obvious limitation of the study is the lone sample. It's possible the snake was eaten by a particularly eccentric or curious individual, I've known folks like this, and that it never happened again. Further evidence of whole snake consumption among the lower Picos people would add further evidence to the claim that this was something done regularly, or at least on special occasions. Hey, it's Eat a Snake Day. The good news is that plenty of coprolites were uncovered at Conejo Shelter. Perhaps a future discovery is waiting inside one or more of these ancient chunks of dried-out poop. This was written, this article, by, I want to give him credit, George Dvorsky. Thank you, George. And thank you, the listener. And if you want to hear more of me reading weird stories, why not consider becoming a patron on my Patreon? You'll never guess what it is. It's patreon.com/Torn Atkinson. See you next time!